What's good, YouTube? Masex back with another video, and today we're continuing the series, taking a look at the top 10 prospects for the 2025 NFL Draft. This is the preseason version, of course. We're looking at the edge rushers today. Outside of the quarterback, maybe the left tackle, the edge rusher is kind of that next premium position. Everybody knows that a great defense generally is going to start with the defensive line, and that edge rusher plays a very important special part of that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at these edge rushers. But before we do that, if you are new to the channel, definitely help a brother out by liking and subscribing to this video, as we are on the road to 1K. Every video we get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. Can't do it without you guys, and I appreciate the support to this point. But anyways, back to these edge rushers. We're going to waste no more time. Let's go ahead and hop straight into it. And without further ado, let's get to it. And y'all know how we do things, starting with number 10, and we're going to work our way to the number 1 ranked edge rusher. Now, this is according to NFL Draft Buzz. We're looking at their top 10 list. And at number 10, we have Danny Dennis Sutton, edge rusher out of Penn State, listed at 6'5", 254 pounds. And it seems like every year Penn State has a projected NFL prospect. A few years back, you got Michael Parsons. Last year, Chop Robinson. And this year, it looks like they're continuing that with Dennis Sutton. And just looking at a few scouting reports, one of his biggest strengths is that first step. He jumps and flies off of the ball, very explosive with that, and demonstrates impressive lateral agility and pursuit speed. All great qualities and well needed if you're going to be an impactful edge rusher. From a production standpoint, hopefully this year he can take that next step, but as of right now, he's more of a high upside projection. Next up at number 9, we got Patrick Payton out of Florida State, listed at 6'5", 239 pounds, going into his true junior year. Freshman and sophomore year, very productive, very impressive. His freshman year, 31 tackles, 5 sacks, followed it up in his true sophomore year with 43 tackles and 7 sacks. So he's on an excellent trajectory, has forced some fumbles. That's what the edge rusher position is all about, is being a playmaker. Length, motor, very fluid in space. And honestly, at 6'5", sub 240, you have to make up with the lack of size with a lot of athleticism and very good awareness. Payton projects as a high ceiling edge rusher and a day one contributor on passing down situations. Saw a lot of highlights where he's getting his hands in the air, batting down balls, just basically making plays, and that's what you really want at the edge rusher position. He's one of those guys with his youth and then a lot of those characteristics that I talked about now. He could definitely be one of those that slips into more of a top 5 role, maybe even top 3 role, especially if Florida State's defense as a whole can continue what they started last year with a very dominant defense. Moving on to number 8, we got one of my favorite edge rushers in the class, and that's Mykel Williams out of Georgia, listed at 6'5", 265 pounds. Former 5-star guy coming out of high school according to 24/7, but he has exceptional size, scheme versatility, and he's really just a blue chip type of prospect. I really like edge rushers that have that schematic versatility. He can play all through the line, passing downs, running downs. I mentioned that he's really good in the run game as well, and just that versatility, I see him as a first round pick, a day one type of guy, really good hand placement, pad level, and I just personally think that he has the ability to be a high impact player at the next level. This is his true junior year, 5 sacks freshman and sophomore year on a very loaded defense. I mean, let's be honest, Georgia sends 5-6 guys to the NFL every year the last 6-7 years, and he's been one of those contributing guys, and I think this is the year where he's going to really make a name for himself. Draft Buzz has him at number 8. For me, I have him in my top 5, at least at this moment, and mark my words, Mykel Williams is somebody you gotta watch in the SEC over the 24 season. Next up at number 7, NFL Draft Buzz has Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, listed at 6'7", 281 pounds, so very massive frame. Landon Jackson was actually on a lot of boards last year for the 24 draft, decided to come back for another year at Arkansas. He actually began his college career at LSU, played 5 games as a freshman, transferred to Arkansas, and the last 2 years at Arkansas has really made a name for himself. Last year, year, 44 tackles overall, 6.5 sacks, very active, but his potential at that size is going to always perk the ears of any NFL scout and GM. And once again, that allows the versatility across the defensive line. Very intimidating frame. Displays good bend even for his size, can definitely get low and create leverage against the offensive lineman. And I like his motor and gap control. So Landon Jackson, I think if he puts it together, can also be one of those guys who has the potential to be a day one type of edge rusher. All right, moving on to number 6, we got Ashton Gillette out of Louisville, listed at 6'3", 270 pounds. It's coming off a very impressive junior year in which he generated 11 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. So he's going to be looking to follow that up in his senior year to show, improve, and get as much draft capital as he can. Right now, I see him more as a day 2 type of guy, you know, a second or third round, with the opportunity to definitely move up, of course, if he's able to follow up with another year of double-digit sacks. Then there's no way you can leave him out of the first round. Lacks the elite bend, elite length at 6'2", 6'3", but he makes that up with motor, very high IQ. He's very technically sound. I do want to see him add a little bit more to his pass rushing arsenal for that to translate to the next level, but he's really good with his hand usage and a very good guy standing up and controlling the gaps in the run game, which I feel are great tools that are going to translate to the next level. All right, now we're moving into the top 5 for NFL Draft Buzz, and at number 5 we got Princely Human. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. I butcher it every time. But Princely Human, former Florida Gator, this year transferred to Ole Miss. One of the older prospects in this class, listed at 6'5", 255 pounds. We're going to have to see what he looks like in Ole Miss. Solid first 4 years at Florida, but a former 4-star recruit from Texas. I remember his name, had a lot of buzz, had a lot of offers going to him. Accumulated 91 tackles, 14.5 sacks, and 27 tackles for loss over the course of his career at Florida. And as I mentioned, he's going to Ole Miss to add some well-needed talent at the edge rush position. And just upon reading scouting reports, he has a very lethal spin move, but he's very fluid, has really good ideal length that's going to transfer over to the NFL level at 6'5", close to 260 pounds. He has that versatility because I've seen him switch from the 2-point stance to the 3-point stance, which adds that versatility, which, as I've mentioned several times, is very imperative in my opinion if you want to translate to the next level. So we're just going to have to see how Princely looks and see if he can go ahead in his 5th year and see if that's the charm for him. All right, moving on to number 4, we got JT Tuimoloau, listed at 6'3", 270 pounds, out of Ohio State. Was on a lot of big boards last year, decided to come back for his senior year. A lot of hype coming out of high school as he was a 5-star prospect. Numerous offers, chose Ohio State. And in his first 3 years in college, I mean, it's been pretty solid, decent overall. I'm still waiting for him to put it all together, add more consistency, because you watch 1 quarter of tape and he looks like a top 10, top 15 pick. Turn on another quarter and he looks like somebody that needs to take a rest and go sit down on the bench. So I'm waiting on him to dominate for 4 quarters and put it all together and really put his mark on a game. I mentioned him around this time last year. As I mentioned, he was in a lot of top 25, a lot of top 30 big boards going into last year. But this roster at Ohio State's loaded on offense and defense. He has a lot of the traits that you look for. He's strong, very physical, sets the edge, and you always love that edge rusher that can play against the run as well as going against the pass and wreaking havoc on the quarterback. Sometimes, like I said, with the consistency, he can get stuck on blocks a little bit longer than you want to see in somebody that you hope would be a day 1 pick. He has all the tools, he has all the traits. We're just waiting on him to put it all together consistently. Moving on to number 3, and from one 5-star recruit to another former 5-star recruit, and that's Jack Sawyer, also out of Ohio State. So we got 2 teammates going back to back, listed at 6'4", 265 pounds, 5-star recruit from Ohio, widely regarded as the top guy. I believe at one point he was the number 1 player overall in the 21 class, now going into his senior year. And I just remember with Jack Sawyer, it was a big deal because he ended ended his junior year of high school with a torn MCL, and then he made news because of the COVID year of 2020. He decided to opt out of his senior year of high school. Ohio State, which always is loaded, had 4 sacks his freshman year, definitely increased his production as a sophomore as well, and last year, his junior year as a full-time starter, very impressive. 49 tackles, 6.5 sacks, really displaying why he was a highly ranked guy coming out of high school as a 5-star. But he's a high motor guy with really good power and versatility. He has the traits from what I've seen. I watch Ohio State pretty much every game that they play, and I feel like his game does translate over. I have no problem with him being in the top 3, at least at this moment in time. He does have areas to improve. I know hand usage, you'll read scouting reports. His hand usage can be pretty poor, a little stiff when trying to bend the edge, but just ultimately the ceiling is there, the high upside is there, and he could very well be the number 1 or the number 2 edge rusher when it's all said and done before the 25 draft. All right, we're at top 2, and we got number 2, Nick Scarton out of Texas A&M, listed at 6'3", 280 pounds, probably the biggest neck in the entire nation. Former 4-star guy, originally joined Purdue back in 2022, made an impact right away as Purdue is here in Indiana, so I definitely saw him play a lot at Purdue. Definitely the best player on the entire team. Last year, 10 sacks, 50 tackles, forced a fumble as well. Even though I'm an IU guy, I'm definitely rooting for him as he's transferred over to Texas A&M. He possesses violent hands, and he's got really long arms, is able to ward off blockers, create that separation, touch them before they're able to touch him. High motor, stamina, is always on the field, consistent in the fourth quarter. I've even seen him drop into coverage. He's got a lot of strengths, a lot of traits that I feel the scouts are going to drool over. He converts speed to power very well, and keep in mind he's 280 pounds, or at least that's what he's listed at. He does have a solid arsenal of pass rush moves, which makes him a consistent threat on the edge. And just like any guy out of college, he does have some moves he needs to refine or at least work on his craft a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that with another year of football, he's going to continue to work on those weaknesses or things that he can move to improve. And our number 1 edge rusher, according to NFL Draft Buzz, is none other than the edge rusher by the name of James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, listed at 6'5", 242 pounds. Honestly, at this moment, I think he's pretty much the consensus top edge rusher in the class. Even on early mock boards, he's a top 3 pick. And man, his sophomore year, this dude was elite. According to Pro Football Focus, had a score of 92.4, 23% pressure rate, which was one of the best in the entire nation. Tennessee in general is a team that I'm really excited for, with Nico Iamaleava on the offensive end and that explosive air raid offense. And then we look at defensively, looking at James Pierce Jr. in his true junior year. To me, he reminds me of Will Anderson Jr. And with it being projected to be a weak QB class, it's very realistic that James Pierce Jr. could be the number 1 pick in the 2025 draft class. He's so good that some scouts say that he would have been the number 1 edge rusher in this past year's draft in 2024. And so not only is he pretty much the consensus number 1 edge rusher, you're going to actually see him as the number 1 prospect on the entire NFL big board for 2025. All right, there you have it. These are NFL Draft Buzz's top 10 edge rushers for the 2025 draft class. And I think that after a relatively weak edge rushing class last year in 2024, I think that this is definitely an upgrade. We got a lot of depth on here, and I really like the top 5. We could very well have 3 edge rushers going in the top 15 picks. That's just my take on it. I'm definitely excited to watch more film as the season progresses and seeing how the list actually shapes up in December as far as the top 10 edge rushers. But if you made it this far in the video, I deeply appreciate it. If you haven't already, or if you forgot, don't worry, I'm gonna remind you. Definitely like and subscribe to this video. It helps the channel grow, and it helps others who love football just as yourself be able to view this content. So I deeply appreciate that. More videos to come, so definitely stay tuned. We're gonna look at a few other positions, and if you're a football nut like me, like I know most of you actually are, you can't wait till next month in August when we really start to get some football going on that field. I definitely see you guys in the next video, and y'all have a good one.